Morning, it's Jim in the shop again. Just, got the wood stove fired up and then went and shoveled snow, so that warmed me up a little bit. Well, kept the chill off anyway. Just doing the final squish check on my Husky 395 build that I'm doing for myself. So I'll show you some of that. Okay. Okay, so just on the bench here, I realized after I got going on this build that they'd actually, for some reason, used two base gaskets together, and that was part of what gave it the fairly excessive squish. So anyways, I ended up actually turning my piston down a little bit on the top here, and then I'll just use a single base gasket, which if I'd have noticed it sooner, that would have been what my plan was. Anyways, this pop-up allows the piston, the center of it here, to go that much further up into the dome of the combustion chamber. I left myself a little reminder to do something else there. Anyway, so that gives you a little bit more compression because this goes up a little bit higher. With our squish, what we're talking about is basically the gap between the edge of the piston. It doesn't matter whether it's a pop-up or one of these ones, but we need to maintain a bit of clearance there to ensure that we're not going to end up with the piston ever colliding with this band on the outside edge there. So when we talk about squish bands, that's what that's referring to. And most builders maintain at least 20 thousandths of an inch, and a lot of guys will work around the 25 thou just to be a little bit safe there. If you don't have enough clearance, then there's pretty good potential for basically the saw to tear itself apart. So what I end up doing, I didn't get my calipers out. Or maybe I did. What I end up doing is basically using this solder. So it's about a 0.32 or 32 thousandths of an inch. I'll just try and put that there. 32 thousandths of an inch to start with. And then I'll reassemble this. I don't put rings on the piston, but reassemble this, and then with the dab of grease, and I'll show you that in a sec here. Dab of grease across the top of the piston to hold the solder on there, and then sort of something like that, and then bring the piston up to the top a few times, and it'll squash the solder down, and then you measure how thick the solder is after. So originally I had this at 23 thou. After I'd machined or decked the cylinder, I removed about 30 thou off the base here, and then that was the clearance that I had. Now I've messed around a little bit more because I did that cut on the piston, and then I'll be building myself or using one of these other base gaskets. and reassembling it. So I just want to make sure that everything is right before I put it together. If you don't check that, then you can end up in trouble, or you can be a little bit out on your tolerances, and I want this to be exact. So that's what I'm working with. So we'll get going on that. So finally back working on my 395. Just cleaned the piston up a little bit. The casting is actually quite good quality on this, so I was happy about that. The brand is Raisma. I've used some of their clutch stuff before, but hadn't seen the cylinder and piston kits. It's quite an old kit there. The old guy that was going to rebuild this one before he passed away had bought it, so it was just sitting with the saw anyways. But we'll get back on track here. So I'm just put the dab of grease on top of the piston, and then I put my piece of solder on there, and the grease helps hold it together. I showed you the solder that I use already. So it's 32 thousandths of an inch. And with this finishing work that I'm doing, that's definitely adequate. What you find sometimes is like these ones when I first started today, or not today, but with this project, unknown height, and you can have a clearance that's more than 32 thou, and then it won't show up, and that was kind of the situation with these. So what I ended up doing is you can either use heavier solder, but it doesn't crush down consistently. So what I do is I'll actually twist two of these together just on the tips, and then you can use that so that it gives you a more accurate reading. Anyway, so then just put I don't have rings on my piston right now. I just want to get this on here, do my squish measurement, and we'll be good. So these 395s and some of the other bigger Huskies actually, oh come on, quite lined up, use a different cylinder bolt on them, which these are 3/16, so I haven't got a driver bit for my impact driver, but this is fairly quick anyways. So I just do the two diagonally across from each other. That's enough to hold your cylinder on there tight, give you a good reading. And then, like I said, I just bring this up and back down a couple times. Actually, we're going to be tight here. It feels a little bit under. Anyway, we'll know in a minute. Give her a few back and forths there. I cut a new gasket, made myself with the Velcro. I found sometimes reusing some of these other OEM or stock ones can get you into trouble. And this Velcro paper that I've got's been really good. It's fuel and oil resistant as well. Oop. Okay, so then what we kind of want to do is pay attention to where our stuff was at here. And then with the vernier calipers, just do my measurement. So just want to zero it. And then, yeah, this looks looks a little tight. Yeah. Yeah, really tight. So I guess I'll end up taking a little bit more off my piston, which is kind of good. I'm going to end up taking her down another 10 thou. I'm for some reason here at about 15 thou clearance, which is way too tight. I wanted originally to be at about 23 on this one. I'm good with anywhere between, well, I'd rather not be as close to the 20 thou. I'd rather have right around 25 thou. So that's what I'll plan on setting up for. So yeah, since it's still easy to throw her back on the lathe, then I'll do that. So yeah. Okay. Good thing I checked. So one thing I was going to suggest is if you don't have a lathe and you're trying to manipulate your squish, often you can go to a little thinner gasket, and if you're say your saw was at 30 thousandths, just for an easy number, and your OEM gasket material, say that was at 20 thou, then instead of having to machine anything, you can go to a thinner gasket like 15 thou, and that'll drop your squish down to 25. So that's one of the easy things if you don't have a lathe, and then you're all set. So I'll just grab a couple things here. So I use that white plastic cutting board, just a good safety knife with a new blade on it, so it actually cuts. It's not just trying to tear the stuff. And then I've got a good hole puncher from when I used to do leather work, when I was doing other cowboy type stuff. But anyways, so those are kind of some of your basics, and then you can jump around and look at, like I said, that Felpro gasket material. There's a lot of options with it. It comes in quite a few different thicknesses, so that makes it easy. Okay, I'll get back on track here. So just put the piston back in the lathe. Just did another squish test, getting 22 thou around it. So I'm gonna go with that. It's just a hair tight, but I run really good fuel and oil all the time, so I'm not gonna worry about extra carbon buildup. That's one factor to consider, with maybe a little bit extra tolerance, but I'm comfortable with my fuel and oil, so I think I'll go a little bit tight and make sure I optimize some of my compression that way. Yeah, so pretty happy with it. And while I had the piston off, I also cleaned up a little bit of the inside of it, like I do on everybody else's saws I work on. So just any of the flash and stuff on the inside of the windows, or anywhere with casting stuff, cleaned that up. But I think I was saying before, they're pretty happy with this Raisman quality. I was impressed when I originally, I'll find those later, I guess, decked the cylinder, and none of the plating chipped or anything. That's always a really good indication of what it's going to be like for doing any of the porting. So I decided with this one, instead of messing around too much with this old one that's still got the stripped out plug threads in it, and then I also did fill in the intake a bit here, but I just so pressed for time right now. This will be one of those one-day projects I think that I'll get around to, but not today. So yeah, we'll keep going with this. Okay, thanks.